Robert De Niro is done for after appearing in front of the New York court and delivering a mediocre theatrical performance that added zero value to everyone's lives. Robert De Niro generated a lot of attention to the point where he diverted attention from the issue he was trying to highlight and became the center of the story because of his antics. In this video, you'll see Joe Rogan and Jimmy Dore's reaction to this incident, and they didn't hold back and embarrassed him for the childish behavior that he showcased. But before I delve deeper into it, watch this clip.
That Robert De Niro's on some kind of Epstein list or some kind of thing like that, and then he's afraid that if Trump does get power, he's going to expose him, and he is actually going to come at him. I think Robert De Niro's just got Trump derangement syndrome.
I think he's old, too. There's a thing about old men. And they want to yell at everybody.
And he's completely... Did you see when he went and gave that speech outside of the trial? That was bizarre.
Who told him that was a good idea?
And then he starts yelling at regular people.
Well,
he's like,
crazy.
Fuck you, you're a gangster. Go fuck you. Like,
it's crazy that that's the guy
what?
from Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
Like, you know what also I think? I think those guys have no friends. I think the only friends they have are Hollywood phonies. And so you're in this weird world where everybody you talk to is a phony, and you become a phony, and everyone's a phony, and your grasp on reality is very slippery, and your eyes are going, right?
What De Niro essentially did with the New York appearance was nothing but undermining his own image and credibility. The man has been known to be a vocal critic of the former president for a decade now, but he threw everything on the line with that speech. De Niro's intention was clear. He wanted to make a strong statement against Trump and express his support for Biden, whose campaign was the main culprit behind the whole fiasco. However, the execution left much to be desired. His speech, filled with emotional outbursts and inflammatory language, seemed more like a rant than a reasoned critique. Instead of focusing on the specifics of the case or articulating a well-thought-out argument, De Niro resorted to general accusations and personal attacks. He even went as far as saying that if Trump is elected, he won't leave the White House, which is a line that Biden campaign have been using nonstop. By the way, do subscribe for more discussions like this. Now, it's safe to say that the actor's behavior was more theatrical than substantive. To make that situation more chaotic, De Niro argued, cursed, and shouted down at the crowd who disagreed with him, proving how out of control he was, in addition to lacking the ability of engaging in a civil debate. His action did more harm than good because instead of drawing attention to the serious issues at hand, he became the story himself, overshadowing the very trial he aimed to highlight. This also proved that the trials were nothing short of a farce. Joe has more to say on the situation. Watch this take in the next clip.
You ever see old people's text messages? The text on their phone is like as big as my hand.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And so your vision of the world is blurring, literally and figuratively, and then you're getting old. And when old people are tired and cranky, they just want everyone to listen to them, and they don't have time to have a calm conversation. And you state out your opinion, I'll state my opinion. Let's see where we have common ground. Get off my lawn. And that's what he's doing. That's what he's doing. He's being this old grumpy man that is so lost that he thinks it's a good idea to stand in front of a bunch of people on the street and give a speech on camera about how bad Donald Trump is. With all the shit that's going in the world.
I have to disagree here because this is a consistent pattern with people on the left where many of them try to assert their moral superiority to people who disagree with them, usually by shouting and silencing their opponents. The celebrities on the left make it clear where they stand politically using award shows, social media, and public appearances to voice their disdain for opposing views. While everyone has the right to their opinions, the manner in which these opinions are presented tends to be dismissive and intolerant of differing perspectives. Instead of encouraging dialogue and understanding, this approach creates an echo chamber where only like-minded views are validated and amplified. Just like Joe mentioned, this attitude can alienate a significant portion of the audience. When celebrities refuse to engage with or listen to the other side, it reinforces the divide and makes it harder to find common ground. For example, statements like, "If you support the other side, you're not welcome here," shut down any possibility of constructive conversation. It paints the opposition as morally inferior or unenlightened, which only deepens this divide. What makes this issue worse is that these people don't share any common experiences with the average American, and thus the causes that they advocate for work against the interests of society, as they are largely disconnected from the everyday realities and struggles of the general population. But Jimmy has an explanation for all of this. Watch this next clip to see what he has to say.
The hell is this confusion and this constant lack of peace. Everyone's filled with anxiety.
Well, Jesus said, there's a quote, that the kingdom of my Father is laid upon the earth, but the eyes of men don't see it. So, yeah, so we're creating our own hell, right? And it's, I think, over-identification with the ego mind, which is different than, you got a big ego. That's different. The ego mind is like what you're conscious of, your idea of who you are. And then the things that you don't like, according to Jung, you split them off and you put them into your unconscious. So when people who hate Trump, like when you see people who have Trump derangement syndrome, that's because they're projecting that part of themselves that is like Trump onto him. And so then they can hate that. And that when you have a big reaction to something external, whether it's you love something intensely or you hate something intensely, that tells you it's about you.
What Jimmy's referring to here is the psychological concept of negative projection. According to Dr. Josh Gressel, we all have aspects of ourselves that we're uncomfortable with, that we don't want to admit to ourselves or to others that exist even within us. Adding, quote, we all have those aspects within ourselves, but because of our social upbringing or what we have come to believe is permissible and forbidden, we are more comfortable admitting some negative qualities than others. What this essentially means is that these ideologically driven celebrities engage in such behavior, not because of their disapproval of Trump, but more because he's essentially the antithesis of their values. That's because of years of indoctrination about the absolute necessity of woke and progressive values in order to improve our societies, which largely ignore the interests of the nation as a whole. By projecting all that they dislike onto Trump, the left overlooks the fact that their own intolerance and unwillingness to engage in dialogue contribute to the very division they criticize. However, this intense focus on Trump's perceived flaws also says something about those who oppose him. It reveals an unwillingness to acknowledge the complexities of political identity and the legitimate concerns of his supporters. Jimmy expands on this point in the next clip.
Like, I never hated Trump. I hated the system that got us Trump. Like, that's why I tried to keep my focus on, it was because Barack Obama bailed out the banks and kicked 5.1 million families out of their homes, and then went on to give us a right-wing fucking healthcare plan that was a giveaway to Big Pharma and insurance company, and he didn't really help. That's what laid the groundwork for people to go for someone like Trump. That always does. So that's what when people hate, the people who hate Trump the most are people who have split off that part of themselves that is Trump and put it in their unconscious, and then they're experiencing themselves as they project it onto him. You know those people. I
know a lot of those people.
Like Rob Reiner. Like Bill Maher. Like there's lots of those people everywhere. And then they just tell these fantasies about him.
That's absolutely true. It's essential to recognize that Trump's a symptom rather than the root cause of the deeper issue within the American political system. His rise to political power highlights significant flaws and mismanagement within the system. You see, during the Obama presidency, the political landscape was marked by growing disillusionment among many American voters. The left, despite its promises of hope and change, failed to address the fundamental concerns of a significant portion of the population. Issues like the terrible economy, job losses due to globalization, and the neglect of rural and working class communities were not adequately addressed. This created a fertile ground for an outsider, someone who could channel this widespread frustration and promise to shake up the status quo. I bet you Facebook friends would love to say something about this, so just share it with them and let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below.